Today's video is going to be about my Canon 5D Mark III has died. And today's video is about what I'm doing to set up my Canon 5D Mark IV. So come along and enjoy this adventure. When a camera fails you, it's almost as if a lover has left you. This Canon 5D Mark III, I am so comfortable with it that I can do everything I need to do just by feel. That's how comfortable I am with this camera. I've taken this camera to Ecuador, Ireland, to 30 states in the United States. I love this camera. But when the camera failed me, I said to myself, this might be an opportunity for you to trade out of Canon and go a different way, maybe go mirrorless, go different ways. So I kind of sat down and took a soul searching moment and said, do I want to stick with Canon or do I want to go to a different brand? And to tell you the truth, the deciding factor for me was just comfort. And this has nothing to say anything negative about Nikon, Sony, or Fuji cameras. They're very good cameras. As a matter of fact, my wife shoots a Fuji camera. And I gotta tell you, I am getting comfortable setting up the Fuji camera. I'm very comfortable with that camera. But I said to myself, you know, you're really comfortable with the 5D Mark III. I went to McGee Marsh in Ohio, and Canon was there, and I borrowed a Canon 5D Mark IV. And I loved it, but at the time I said to myself, it is a really good camera, but this camera works really well. And this camera was not, at the time, this camera was $3,700. Okay, this camera works really good. And I didn't think this camera was that much better than this camera. Fast forward to 2019. This camera right now is going for $2,500. Refurbished, brand used, this camera is going for about $1,800. Refurbished, about $2,000. So, you know, for $2,500, I said to myself, I'm going to buy a new one. And I went with it just because I'm comfortable with it. So I'm going to walk you through what I'm going to do to set this camera up to take pictures in wildlife. I'm going to talk real quick what came in the box for the Canon 5D Mark IV. To tell you the truth, not a lot came with it. You know, you got the camera, you got some manuals and CDs that came with it. This strap, I'm not going to use this because I use a big lens and this strap would just be torture. It came with a cable to attach your computer to your camera. I would strongly encourage you to use a card reader when you're transferring images, but this came with the camera, so once you have this, you can attach your camera to your computer. It came with an eye relief for your Canon 5D Mark IV. Buy extra one of these, they tend to fall off, they tend to wear out. So, and the last two things that came with it were the battery and the battery charger. And that's it, that's all that came in the box. Well, it's gotten a little warm while I'm doing this video. So let me talk about the settings that I set my Canon camera for. And basically all DSLRs and mirrorless cameras have these options. It's just not this exact same as Canon. So the first thing that I change is I always shoot aperture priority. I just like shooting an aperture priority when I'm shooting at warblers in a tree. I have a real shallow field of focus, 5/6, whatever the smallest is. And then when I see a bird flying over, I generally open up the aperture to maybe 8 or 9, and because I want both wings in focus. So the first thing that I will adjust on the camera is the ISO. So the camera will, if you're in aperture priority and you take the ISO off of automatic, I adjust the ISO and I adjust the aperture, and the camera adjusts the shutter speed for what I want to shoot pictures for. The second one I do is spot metering. I want it to spot meter and not just have a general blanket view of the image. So if I'm taking a picture of a bird flying over, I don't want it exposing for the background. I want it exposing for the bird. So that's why I use spot metering. And for the most part, on this camera here, it's supposed to be really, really good. The next setting that I use is high-speed continuous shooting. And what that means is that when you shoot, it will continue to shoot as long as you're holding down the shutter button until either it buffers out or you take your finger off the shutter button. And you're asking, well, why is my camera buffering out? It's a brand new camera. Well, I shoot in RAW and then I shoot in large format. So Canon has three options. You have small, medium, and large formats. The large is where you get the 30 megapixel pictures, and obviously the other two are smaller. And my philosophy is that if I'm going to shoot a kind of 30 megapixel camera, I want to have a 30 megapixel picture. And the last two settings that I change is, the first one that I do is I make the shutter button, when I push that half down, it just meters the picture. It doesn't focus. And then I change my back button to focus. And those are basically the settings that I use. There are a few other ones that not all cameras have and not all Canon cameras have that I'm going to use, but for the most part, those are the settings that I use. And I'm going to see how they work. I am going to try other settings and I will mention in future videos how they went, but that's basically the settings that I use. Stop. You have one more setting that you have to tell them about. And that is the autofocus setting. You want to set it to Al Servo, and what that means is it refocuses after every shutter release, which is important when you're taking pictures of anything moving or any kind of changes that you do. So you focus on one bird and then you want to take a picture of another bird, it will refocus after every shot, which is very important for bird views when I take pictures. So I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to this channel, and again, thank you for watching.